Some of the most common point of discussion right now for GTA 6 is when is Trailer 2 coming out? Cyberboy is talking about it here.
So we've been talking about Trailer 2 for around a year now, and the truth is, it can happen at any point. But of course there's certain dates that are more likely, and we've discussed those over the past year. Mainly this falls around Take-Two Interactive's earnings calls. But between now and May, which is the next Take-Two Interactive's earnings call, there's a 90% chance that we'll get Trailer 2 or something official from Rockstar. And in today's video, I'm going to go over what's likely to happen and give my final input on my predictions.
Okay, so I agree with this already on the basis that it could literally drop anytime between now and Q2. At the end of the day, if the trailer drops before Q2, then the Q2 earnings will do really well. That's the main point. So it doesn't matter if it comes now, tomorrow, or a month from now.
And unless Rockstar do something or something happens with Take-Two, I won't make another video on my predictions. So this video will be the one video that I send to people as a link to cover my definitive predictions until we actually hear something from Rockstar or Take-Two. So let's get into it. Now in May, Take-Two...
I can only imagine how much Cyberboy is being asked about this, given that his channel is growing at the moment. It's really, really good for him. I can imagine how many people are messaging him, when Trailer 2, bro? When Trailer 2? I can see it.
Interactive have their next earnings call, and that earnings call is quite special because on the 1st of April the next fiscal year starts for Take-Two Interactive. So businesses have something called fiscal years. Now this isn't the same as a calendar year. As you know, a calendar year runs from January to December, but a business year or a fiscal year runs from April until the last day of March.
So if you ever wonder how YouTubers and such seem to know maybe more than other people about this stuff, it's because we tend to look at the business side of things rather than the gaming side of things. So if you have a look at the business side of things, you can see, for example, Take-Two Interactive is a public company and therefore it has to run towards what investors want. Therefore, we are having more public, transparent information about what's happening with the company compared to, say, for example, Activision Blizzard, who is now owned by Microsoft and so on and so forth. So that's how we know. We can actually look at the information that they have to legally provide us as investors have to be given it.
The following year. So it's exactly the same. It's 12 months. It's just pushed 4 months ahead. Now Take-Two Interactive, of course, their fiscal year starts on the 1st of April. Now why is this important? So the next earnings call for Take-Two Interactive starts in May. And during that earnings call, they'll have to give their full definitive predictions of what's going to happen between April, so they'll backdate it a month, and of course the end of March next year. Now, whether GTA 6 ends up getting delayed or not, if anything happens in the production line for GTA 6, we'll probably know, because if GTA 6 is delayed until some point next year, it will probably fall after March next year. So this next Take-Two Interactive's earnings call, they have to give their predictions on what money the business is going to make over the...
Okay, so when he says they have to, what he's talking about is there's actual consequences if they don't. So companies like this have what's called a fiduciary responsibility, which essentially means they cannot, with their own understanding, their most real understanding of the information they have, they cannot mislead investors. It's against the law. So Rockstar has no reason to defy the law here, but it's not like, oh, it'll just upset gamers. No, this is something they have to do, like full stop.
The next 12 months from the date of the earnings call, and of course backdated to April. Now it's no secret that time is running out for Rockstar. The closer we get to the fall 2025 release date without hearing anything, the more likely things are to get pushed back. Now at the moment it's sitting that GTA 6 is on track for fall this year. So let's just assume that that is the case. So Rockstar are going to need to drop a trailer between now and the next Take-Two Interactive's earnings call to start building some more interest for investors, especially if Take-Two come out during their earnings call and give a prediction of, let's say, $8 billion, for example, for the next fiscal year. They're going to have to substantiate that with something other than the same thing that they've been saying since May last year, which is a fall 2025 prediction. But that also being said, there is another side to this. We're not in 2013 anymore, or all the early 2010s when GTA 5 began its marketing cycle. Games developers now are less interested in marketing years in advance of games because it doesn't really matter that much, especially with the actual story mode for GTA 6 not being the big long-term moneymaker for Rockstar.
True.
That's their first week and first month moneymaker. The online component of...
In fact, GTA 5, Strauss Zelnick made clear some time ago that they weren't expecting shark cards to be as important as they are now to take to Interactive's revenue. So back then, single player, back in 2013, depending on how old you are, you will know how the live server, how the multiplayer in general, gaming has changed, multiplayer has changed, and live service is now a thing that it was a thing in 2013, but nowhere like it is now. I mean, think about how Fortnite, Overwatch, all these other games, the multiplayers, they essentially monetize everything off A, free to play, and B, live service overtime microtransactions. Completely different times 2013.
Of GTA 6 will be where the money is made generationally. Whether it's 5 years, whether it's 6 years, whether it's 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the online part of GTA 6 will be the long-term success for Rockstar. So we're more likely to see the marketing cycle begin for GTA 6 potentially a bit later than normal and actually continue post-release. This is actually something that Laney, the chief financial officer for Take-Two Interactive, said during the earnings call. They're not so much interested in marketing games up to release, there's just as much emphasis on marketing post-release. Now, of course, with this being said, we have no idea.
This is very correct. If you think about Fortnite, Apex Legends, the other live service multiplayers, they're continuously building trailers, they're continuously adding to the storyline of these games now. Oftentimes when it comes to multiplayer games, the lore and the storyline is as similarly important to the gameplay experience itself because it keeps players interested.
When Grand Theft Auto Online for GTA 6 is actually going to be coming out. Whether it's going to be on release day, whether it's going to be 2 weeks later, 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, we really don't know. But
So continuing on that last point, it's important because it essentially means that they're going to continue the marketing campaign for years to come. Prior to the 2020s, it did used to be the case where you'd have, for example, with Call of Duties, you'd have the one trailer or maybe two trailers for Modern Warfare 3, for example. Once that game is out, there might, if they're lucky, be one trailer for a new DLC potentially, but usually not even that. Maybe there'll be a blog post with like some screenshots of the new map or something, and that'll be that. But now you have entire films literally being made, or TV series or Netflix series in League of Legends case with Arcane. There's so much more marketing that goes into it now post-launch of the video game.
You probably take the assumption that Rockstar are going to be more incentivized to release the online side of the game quicker than normal. Now, of course, back in 2023, we got a t-shirt in GTA Online, which was basically titled as a question mark. And on this t-shirt, we had the exact date and time for Grand Theft Auto 6 Trailer 1. And there was also another date on this t-shirt, which was April the 1st, 2025. Now, this date could be a date for Trailer 2, but realistically, it's probably more interesting that it's just April Fool's Day, and I find it a little bit unlikely that Rockstar would release Trailer 2 on April Fool's Day, especially with the amount of trolling happening online. There's a lot of internet traffic being divided internationally on that day, so we don't really know 100%.
They could still release it on April Fool's Day. It's not, if anything, that would kind of play into the irony that Rockstar does oftentimes, where they like prank people and so on. It would be kind of funny if they put out the most important trailer of the year on the most silly day of the year. That wouldn't actually be that out of brand for Rockstar.
And whether this trailer date is as relevant.
Because then people would then be asking, is this real or not? And that would bring even more question, more engagement to the trailer. So I wouldn't say it's not possible for it to come out on April Fools.
However, it does line up into the picture that I'm trying to paint here, which is between now and May, a trailer is likely, and between now and May, we do have April the 1st. Now, this is something I've spoken about repeatedly on the channel, but Obe Vermage, one of the former technical leads at Rockstar, said that the decision to delay GTA 4 wasn't made until May, and GTA 4 originally had the same sort of release period as GTA 6 has, a fall release period, but they don't really know if they're going to have to delay the game until about 6 to 5 months before the game coming out.
And that is simply because the game has already been made. Now it's ironing out everything to make the gameplay experience as smooth as possible, making sure that all the bugs, the glitches, etc. are taken care of as much as possible. That's where we're at right now, basically quality assurance.
because there's a lot of other things that have to take place for them to know that they need to delay the game. And a project as complicated as Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't immune to this. It still faces the same problems during development as any other game. Like, they could think that they're perfectly on track, but then during the testing phase, they may find a serious issue with the game, something that may take longer to resolve, because sometimes with building games, you can't just change one individual part of the game that might be broken. It may have knock-on effects to other areas of the game, which is why the hot coffee mission in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was kind of hidden in the code. You couldn't do it, but it was technically distributed on the discs, because just deleting it out of the game supposedly had knock-on effects for other areas of the game.
I had no idea about that, but I would imagine that happens in many different games where they have to scrap things just to keep the game working.
And also, they were on a massive time crunch to get the game out. So this goes to my definitive prediction of when I actually think we're going to be getting trailer 2. Well, I'm going to leave this one open. I'd say any day between now and the end of the first week of May. So at some point at the end of the first week of May, maybe the 7th, 8th or 9th, that's when the next Take-Two interactive earnings call will be. And it's during that period when we can expect some more information from Take-Two about the definitive release. Now
that's probably going to irritate some people, because some people probably clicked on this video hoping for an actual date. Here's the thing, this was smart. Cyberboy has no idea as to when it will release, aside from the guidelines that he's already set out, being the earnings call. That makes total sense. This was wise from him to set out this prediction.
Release cycle for the game, as the predictions that they give during the May earnings call are under more legal scrutiny than the previous predictions they've given, because when they're making predictions for a current financial year, which they will be in at the time, there's a few more rules and regulations that they have to abide by with the SEC. And the SEC are just there to protect investors, to make sure investors aren't being misled to invest money into a business when it isn't warranted.
This may change this year depending on how things play out. If the SEC has any changes with what's happening with the current government in the US, this may not be as scrutinized as it may have been before, but who knows?
Or the information being presented by those businesses isn't substantiated. Now, with all of that being said, and this is why it's really difficult to comment on this sort of stuff, because we are dealing heavily in the realm of speculation. Welcome to the channel, boys. But Rockstar could do a complete 180 on everything we've seen from them before. We know that there's probably going to be a trailer 2, because trailer 1 is titled trailer 1, and they wouldn't really bother with that unless there were actually more trailers to come. But it is entirely possible that we get trailer 2 a month before launch, and then trailer 3 a week later, and so on and so forth. In fact, if you look in Rockstar's playlist for various Grand Theft Auto trailers, some of them came out post-release. Now, obviously not the main ones, not the main marketing ones, but we could expect that maybe Rockstar might try something different. Now, I am doubtful of this. I do think that whilst Rockstar are completely different,
I do actually believe that they don't necessarily need to put out another trailer, because they could honestly have put out GTA 6 with no trailer and it would still perform crazy highs, but it's still very good for engagement and it could potentially push things further.
To what they were 15 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago. They're still roughly the same in their approach to the community, which is don't say too much and drop information gradually. I feel like one of the really unique things that Rockstar has always done is their trailer release cycles. They keep it relatively the same across all of their games. They try and do similar things at the very least, which is stagger out information to build hype, let the hype in the community slowly fade away, and bring it back with another trailer. This turns Grand Theft Auto 6 into a household brand name prior to the game coming out. And I feel like for GTA 6, I think it's possible, in fact probable, that Rockstar will do something very similar. So I think between now and May, a trailer 2 is very likely, just because Rockstar know that we're waiting for it, and it's good for their branding and good for their business to drop it. Also, it allows Take-Two Interactive to talk freely about it during the next earnings call, and the following earnings call that comes after that, the one in August.
That is true as well, because right now they are having to try to hold back some information on the earnings calls, whereas they can be more transparent about this is what we expect, and especially once the game comes out post-launch, then they can say this part of GTA Online, for example, will earn this amount, or they could be saying we haven't really put much into GTA Online yet, we haven't released much, but say 3 quarters from now, they could release a brand new update that is going to make X amount more money, and therefore the investors can be expecting more earnings.
will be too close to the release of the game to just all of a sudden do an information dump on the product that Rockstar are working on. So May is really the last chance for us to get definitive information. So at some point between now and May is when we're most likely to receive trailer 2. Now, whilst this is my last video on predictions based on the information we have, if Rockstar go and drop an announcement of the trailer, of course I'll talk about it. If Take-Two Interactive do something or a public statement is made elsewhere that could link to trailer 2, of course I'll cover it on the channel.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, that makes complete sense. We don't know what it will be, but we know that it will more than likely be based on their fiduciary responsibilities to investors. Nothing to do with allegiance to gamers, but their fiduciary responsibility to investors means that they should be giving that sort of information in the next few months at the very least. And then after that, yes, we may see trailers afterwards. That wouldn't be a surprise given that most live service games, which GTA 6 is going to be a live service game, more than likely, that's the best way to earn money in 2020s. The likelihood is that we will be seeing post-launch trailers, but as of right now, I expect that we will see a trailer sometime in the next few months as well. And that, of course, will bring about a whole new hype cycle where all the YouTubers, including myself, will be making all the videos about all the details that we're seeing, all the predictions and so on.